What's up, everybody? This your girl Christian Bowden, the host of the Young, Excited, and Safe podcast. So today we're going to focus on all or nothing in perspective. So what that means is, how do you give God your all? What does that look like? And how do you go about doing that? And what are the challenges that you face in giving God your all? So today we got two young men, two young believers, two men of God who are going to share their perspective of what it means to give God their all. So we have Dan right here. And then we got Matt over here. So I'm gonna start with Matt, and I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him. So Matt, what does it mean to you to give God your all?
I think what it means to give God my all is basically to submit to Him and in everything that I do, and that's in my mental, my my spiritual, and in my physical. And it kind of means to also give up my plans. Really, I feel like
Mm,
we, especially like we as men, we plan a lot. We plan our future. We've got a
mm-hmm.
5 year plan with this, all this, that, and the third. But to give it to God means that even though I plan and he may send it another way,
Right.
and I have to be okay with that. I have to
Mm-hmm.
know it's 10 times better than what I wanted.
That's good, Matt. So basically, what he's really saying and what it takes is surrender and submission. If you can't surrender your all to God or be in submission to God, like, you might as well hang it up. So really, it's about being submitted to God and surrender. Next, we got Dan.
What's my question?
So So what does it mean to you to give God your all?
Yeah, I mean, similar, I think, to Matt. If I could just piggyback off what he was saying, I think being flexible with my, desires and plans, holding loosely kind of the plans that I make, and also being open to God, sort of changing those plans. If I had to say though, like on a day to day basis, there's always a struggle between the flesh and the spirit. So submitting to the spirit in the small moments, in the small unctions,
Mm-hmm.
um, and being willing to, I think, be sensitive in that way and be able to be led, which, that's going to require faith. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, that maybe the spirit is leading us in a way or into something that is perhaps new,
Mm-hmm.
or perhaps difficult, um, something kind of unknown, and just being open to that through faith that, God is trying to work. He's always working,
Right.
and how can I get on board with, what he's doing?
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And that's good what Dan said. Like, really, like, giving God your all is really a battle between flesh and spirit. Like, the flesh is like, no, I don't want you to give God none of you. And the spirit is like, please, I'm begging you, like, give God your all and watch what he do. So the next question I want to ask these two guys is, what are some practical ways that you can, like, what are some practical ways in giving God your all? Like, what do you do to take those steps? Starting with Matt over here.
So I think that something that I personally right now in my life I'm trying to do. I'm trying to wake up early. I know
Mhm.
that I'm a pretty busy person, so like during the
Mhm.
day, my mind is everywhere, and it's, if I don't wake up early and kind of give that time to God, give that time to
Mhm.
meditate on His Word,
Right.
then then my day is not only thrown off, but also I just don't give God what He deserves. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
don't give Him my heart, and we're called to be uh, believers after His heart.
Mhm.
And so I think that's something that right now I'm trying to do to.
Okay, that's good. That waking up early, that quiet time is important. Like, sometimes it's like, shoot, I'm finna snooze this alarm. I'm finna get these five extra minutes of sleep, and God is like, get up. Like, this is a moment where I really need you to seek me so that I can show you what your day is gonna be like, so I can lead and guide you through this day. So that's good, Matt. All right, next we got Dan.
Remind me of the question again.
Lord bless his memory, Jesus. So the question is, what are some practical ways that you go about giving God your all? Like, what does that look like?
Hmm. Hmm. Practically speaking, I mean, I think it's similar to what we said earlier, but just obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is always a new way I can obey God. There are always places that I haven't yet, you know, surrendered, and so and that's going to continue to happen. So, I mean, just practically speaking, it's like, I like to think of it like, you know, have I discovered that new way today? Have I like encountered that new way in which, once I was kind of not, obedient, but I'm trying to, now walk in maybe a new lane of obedience.
Okay. That's good right there. Hey, like the word said, obedience is better than sacrifice. Like, that's really good. I heard one girl on a podcast say that God doesn't just look for contributions like, I'm going to pitch in here, I'm going to pitch in there. Like, he wants the full thing. So that's good right there. So the last question that I'm going to ask them is, Matt, what are some challenges that you face in giving God your all? Like, what can hinder you sometimes?
Often, I think that the challenge, my biggest challenges are thinking that my vices or whatever I'm trying to overcome is like insuperable, almost in a way. It's like I can't get it right. I feel like um it's like to the point where it's like after I fall, it's like I'm going to keep falling, so I might as well stay down. You know what I'm saying? Like, and God, He wants us to get back up, and He's standing there with open arms. But my biggest thing is kind of letting my pride get in the way to to know that after I fall, God is still standing right there, like right as I fall. He's standing there the whole time, watching me fall. He's like, I want you to get back up. And I want you to come to me with your sins. I want you, I can take all that. He's strong enough to take all that. So I think it's right now the biggest thing I'm struggling with is getting back up after I fall.
It's good, Matt. And one thing that the enemy does is like he kind of try to trick us to think that God doesn't want those parts of us that we struggle in. But God is like, no, actually, I'll take that too. But the enemy is like, why would he take that? Like, how can that benefit anything? But God is like, what you're going through, like I can use that for someone else. So the thing is, like, once you fall, get back up. The enemy wants you to stay down. He wants you to be defeated. Like, he don't want you to give God none of you for real, like, because he knows that giving God your all is gonna open up some things that he can't control because it's in God's hands. So that's good. So for Dan, the question is, what are some challenges or what hinders you from giving God your all?
What was the question? No, I'm just playing. I mean, probably, just simply put, control. What's the biggest challenge? It feels safer when I can control stuff. But like, how much of my life am I really in control of? Probably not a ton. So
That's real.
I think just like being, content with the fact that I can trust God, and like I don't have to hold it so tight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't have to just be in control of everything.
It's good, Dan. So what he really saying is like us being in control, really saying, God, I don't trust you in a sense. It's like, us as humans, like we want to be in control of everything. It's like, because it's like you said, it's safe. And it's like giving God our all is kind of like it's like the unknown, because it's like, if I give you my all, what will happen to me? What are you requiring of me? It's like we don't know what's that requirement after the fact. So I just want to say thank you guys for sharing your perspective and what does it mean to give God your all. If you haven't already, go tune into the last 2 episodes, All or Nothing, and part 2, All or Nothing in Perspective. We out.